Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Knowledge Central, where I usually talk about different aspects of my career, what I learned from, and my passion, and also mostly the summaries of the books I read, dealing with self-improvement, self-help, and mostly motivational content, but also how to kind of transform and change your life. And that's the whole idea. And I am such a believer of especially everybody can be better than who they are right now. And so that's the whole motive and drive behind most of the videos. But I wanted to do something different in this video where I thought I'd talk about something which is really fundamental. And I feel that's kind of at the core of whatever we do. And that's about communication, right? And it doesn't mean that it's in a professional setting or it's a personal setting, but also anywhere, right? And there's always this uh, borderline where basically you are how much you can communicate, right? Because people cannot perceive more, or people cannot, perceive less than you communicate. So you are how much you communicate, and then you can either sell yourself, you can, literally boost it, or you can actually make it worse. So this is kind of really the key ingredient in any relationship, professional, personal, friends. And I think this is really one of the fundamental things which we all need to learn and keep improving, as I did as well. And I think I kind of juiced it down to three fundamental ingredients or actionable insights, as we say in the video, where those are the core. And this comes through, again, reading books, talking to people, at the same time also going through other YouTube videos, TED Talks, and a little bit of personal experience as well. So without further ado, let's dive in and see what's the first one. Pretty basic, I think you would have probably guessed, is why should the audience care, right? If I tell something, right, and I clearly mentioned at the start what's in it for the viewers, right? And what you're going to gain, and this is kind of a core of different self-improvement, self-help books. Like, for example, if I see, the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and if you think that, and it's kind of has an aspect or a whole chapter about thinking win-win, right? You should always have that mentality in mind. I mean, what you're getting is one thing, but what the audience gets, and that's really important, especially when you communicate, right? Why should they listen to you, right? Why will they care? Why would they invest some time into you? Whether you're pitching an idea, you're selling them something which kind of solves their problem, or you want something from them, and in return, you're going to give something. So it's all about the audience, right? And we need to make sure we make it towards the audience, towards the listener, towards whoever you're communicating with. They are the central character. And the idea is to keep that in mind and put that perspective back. And that actually has quite a good impact, especially when you communicate. So just ask this question again. When you want to say something, when you want to present something, when you want to ask for something, it could be anything, right? Why will the audience care? What's in it for them? What value are you giving it, right? That's the first one, right? The second ingredient, and it's also kind of easy and very straightforward to actually guess, it's the speaker, right? The second important thing is speaker, which is you in this case, or which is whoever the communicator is, right? So we need to always make sure that you need to have something unique and different, right? Because if somebody else is able to do exactly what you would do, then again, they are going to listen to someone else, right? And if you keep that in mind, again, it shouldn't be something which you can easily replicate, right? For example, again, if millions of people are doing it, again, what makes you unique? Why will they listen to you? And what kind of gives the tipping point for them to kind of come towards you and then listen to you and then do what you tell? So that's really important to have this uh, thing in mind, where it's like what's unique in it. And mostly the marketing and sales representatives know it's the USP, or it's a unique selling point. And what's the different thing, and what's you giving, and what's unique about it, and whether it can be replicated or whether it's easier not makes a difference, right? The second thing, again, the key ingredient of the speaker you're talking about is, again, asking yourself the question, why do you care, right? What is that thing which drives you, right? What is something which is you're really passionate about? What's the story you're trying to tell, and how the story is connected to you? And this is, again, a very gist of different TED speakers, that they always try to connect it to a story, right? Whenever they start, they finish, they always have a personal story. They always have a story about their kids, about their grandparents, about something in their life, to actually make sure that the speaker itself has a very, very strong connect to whatever he's presenting. And basically that changes, and especially for the listener, and then the tonality and enthusiasm itself is going to change, especially when it's something you care a lot about. And I think you would also recognize this when they talk something about something which they really love, and their enthusiasm shoots up, their eyebrows go up, and their eyes light up. So it kind of also makes the audience reciprocate. So it's really important. The second ingredient is the speaker to also care about it. And what's the ticking factor? That's something to keep in mind. And the third is the one which is actually a game changer. And if you're able to pull this off, I think you can kind of captivate any audience. And it doesn't matter who you're talking to, it doesn't matter how many people. It's more of transforming people rather than informing. And this is a game changer. So mostly what we keep in mind is we need to inform them. I'm going to tell them this, I'm going to tell them that. But it's not about informing. And especially if you want to be more effective, you want to make a mark, it's about transforming people, right? It's not just about shooting your points. It's not telling why you're correct, or why do you want them to do this, or why so and so. It's how it's going to transform. And how do you make the transformation? It's where all the important part lies in. And I think it's really not that easy for me to go in detail in this video. And I've made another video, and considering this is part one, another video in part two, where I talk specifically about this transformational content and how can we make this transformation, this mark, this stamp, where, at the end of the presentation or at the end of the discussion, they would be like, wow, this changed me. And that's what's more important. And that's, if you think about it, that makes them remember more, that makes them actually do some action about it, that makes them literally, revolutionize their whole life. And sometimes it's just this one video, it's just this one, book, or it's this one thing which kind of changes people's life. And what does that exactly the video or the book does? It doesn't inform, but it kind of changes. And there is a huge, simple yet challenging framework which you can follow, and I would love to talk more about it in the next video. So I'm going to make a part two soon. So with that, I think, just to wrap up this video and to make it short, especially with the three contents, it's about why will the audience care, right? What's in it for them, and why important is it to the speaker, why the speaker cares, being unique. And third thing is having the transformational content, right? Not about, okay, I'm going to say this, do this now. It's about, what do you already know? How do I put it so that it kind of resonates with them? And finally, at the end of the communication, they get something out of it where they can literally use and change the way they think, act, and behave, right? And that's the whole framework which I'm going to talk about. With this, I think I'm going to wrap this video up, and especially going more on how to do this in the next video. So again, as kind of a side note, I'm telling, this kind of is an important skill which sometimes people underestimate or not given enough thought on, because you are kind of especially perceived as how much you communicate, and because people don't know if you're not saying some things in a more effective way. So with that idea in mind, I think I'm gonna wrap this video up and probably make another part in the next video. So until then, I would say have a wonderful day ahead, and I'll see you soon in the next part, another video. Bye bye.